Tough weekend in baseball for fans of the Oakland A's, the Milwaukee Brewers, and the extended baseball family when we learned of the passing of an all-time great. Sal Bando passed away Friday night at home in Wisconsin after a 5-year battle with cancer. We learned that Sal's family and friends were around him at the time that he passed. What a career. 16 seasons with the A's and Brewers. He was a 4-time All-Star, a 3-time World Series champ. And yes, there were all kinds of stars on those Dynasty A's teams. But there are those that argue that no one was more important than Sal Bando, who was seen as a father figure, a glue figure. He was a bridge between the combative owner, Charlie Finley, and the clubhouse. Spent the final years of his career in Milwaukee, a couple of them as a player-coach, and then went on to become the Milwaukee Brewers general manager for 8 years. Not only a great player, and we're going to kind of reevaluate his career highlights here in a moment with Keith, but a real gentleman. And, man, for a kid that grew up in Oakland in the 70s, this guy was my hero, Sal Bando. And later had the chance to work with him in Milwaukee, and he did not disappoint. It was one of those very rare occasions when you meet your hero and he lives up to your lofty expectations. So our best to Sal's family. I had not heard of his cancer. I didn't know that he was ill and he was battling this. I think the family kept it private, but what a terrific guy and what a great career.
Well, you said it best. I mean, the biggest thing that you said in that whole rip was when your hero lives up to it. I mean, you think about it when you're a kid. They are up here. They're like, nothing can go wrong. No way, not with my guy. And that's the look that you have at somebody when you put it there your whole life. And Sal Bando not only lived up to that for you, he lived up to that for me, every person he came across. One of the real, true gentlemen of life. I was going to say of the sport, but just in life, he was such a great person and just a tremendous player. We'll dive into that right now, but I just wanted to get that out there. What an amazing man. He treated everybody equally, everybody with a kind word. He was a gentle, gentle soul. And that, to me, when I think about the word gentleman, that was him.
No doubt. You know, born and raised in Cleveland, working class family. His brother Chris played for the Indians for almost 10 years. So great baseball family and a great player. And, you know, Sal Bando was not a guy who stuck around on the Hall of Fame ballot for a long time. But I think it's worth kind of scratching around at his career to reconsider some of these things. And Keith has put together some information, including, Keith, the fact that for a 5-year period between 1969, which was Sal's second full year in the big leagues, and 1973, he had a higher WAR than everybody in the sport, including Pete Rose, including Johnny Bench. Take it away.
Yeah, Matty, you see him at the top of this list here over that 5-year period you mentioned, and you talked about it on that first board where we saw he had 3 top 5 MVP finishes. I thought it was interesting that each of those years, one of his Oakland teammates was ahead of him. So it just kind of speaks to how, even though he was the captain of the team during those dynasty years, there was so much talent, so much Hall of Fame talent around him that it was easy for him to sometimes get overshadowed, and certainly get overshadowed as time went on. But with the advantage of modern numbers.
Can you stop at that board right there real quick and look at those faces? Joe Morgan, Reggie Jackson, Johnny Bench. And if you were a kid growing up in the late 60s, mid 70s, those 3 were baseball. And if you're on a board with better stats than them, you're a stud player. Nobody was bigger than those 3. Go ahead, Keith. I'm sorry I had to interject.
No, all good. Absolutely, H. And obviously these are more modern numbers, but how about the simplest numbers of all? You talk about big faces, just posting up. Only Pete Rose, this is the first 10 full seasons, by the way, of Bando's career. So right out of the chute, only Pete Rose, one of the most hard-nosed players in the history of the game, was on the field more than Bando, and those 3 names behind him, as you mentioned, H, those guys also Hall of Fame players, superstars of the game. So on a day like this, obviously all the human elements you guys touched on is what are important, but worth looking back on some of the statistical and on-the-field accomplishments of his career as well, because it was a great career.
Yeah, and I got a couple other things too, Keith. I'm curious your take on it. Look, if we're talking about Scott Rowland trending in the right direction as a Hall of Famer, and that's something that everybody's pleased about, in an era of really repressed offense, which was when Sal Bando played. And you talk about this all the time.
Think about it. They added a DH because the offense was so poor.
Right. So could you fairly say that his numbers, his career, he was kind of an early version of Scott Rowland, great defensive player, team leader, great dude. Like, how come we can't make that connection for the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I like that, and I think like we've talked about a lot through this whole Hall of Fame season, it's just a matter of how people look at the game. If you go back with the way people look at things now and apply those things to his career, half a century ago, or at least it began half a century ago, I think he would fare a lot more favorably. He might not be in the Baseball Hall of Fame, the National Baseball Hall of Fame, but he is a member of the Athletics Hall of Fame. He was the captain of the team for 8 seasons, like I mentioned, more than 2 decades with the Brewers as a player and as an executive. He's in their team Hall of Fame as well. A college baseball Hall of Famer, one of the legends of the Arizona State program, one of the best programs in the country. So, yeah, I do think in modern times he would probably get more run in the National Baseball Hall of Fame, but you see some of these other honors that he racked up as well. Certainly a legend for those that saw him play.
Those guys, by the way, we saw that video of he and Reggie at the '73 World Series reunion team. Those guys loved each other, man. They played with each other in the minors. They were raised together as people, as baseball players. I'll add another thing on Sal Bando. His first All-Star game in 1969, and Keith, you set me straight on this earlier, he was voted in as the starter, and it was the final year that players and coaches made up the vote. It was before the fan vote. It didn't get returned to the fans until the following year. And the highest honor is to be voted in as the starter at your position in a league that Brooks Robinson played.
Unbelievable.
The coaches and players said Sal Bando's the starter, not Brooks Robinson. And again, these are some of the things that get lost in his career somehow. And unfortunately, his passing is what reminds us of how great he was.
I'll throw one more thing in about that game, Matt. He had one hit in that game off Bob Gibson, coming off of his historic '68 season. So, yeah, I think that Sal Bando in that time, pretty good player.
Yeah, great player, great guy, and our condolences go out to his family and the extended A's and Brewers families. Great Sal Bando passing away on Friday night. More Hot Stove right after this.